Good day, everybody. It's Sunday and it's November and it's snowing. So if there's more pregnant pauses, I apologize because I need to concentrate a little bit better on the road today than I might normally do, because first significant snowfall, there have been flurries, and I don't have winter tires. And I know a lot of you probably say, Craig, you're in Canada, why don't you have winter tires? Well, mainly because I'm cheap, but also because I may not have mentioned this before, but I got my license late in life. I got my license back when I was in my 30s, which is a long time ago, actually, now that I think about it. But the training that I received from Young Drivers of Canada was pretty, it's still pretty fresh in my memory. It's not like, you get your license when you're 16, when your hormones are playing havoc with your brain and maybe you know enough to pass your test, but you didn't really retain much of it, and anything you've learned over your course of driving, which is the same for me. I'm a much better driver now than I was when I first started driving. But the reason I don't get winter tires is because I remember a particular lesson, and if you're a friend of mine, you probably heard me say this before. But basically, if you want to avoid a collision in snowy weather, or in any weather for that matter, but in particular inclement weather or bad road conditions, you just have to obey 3 simple rules. And it doesn't matter what kind of tires you have on your car, as long as they're made of rubber. 1, reduce your speed. So if it's 40, you're in a 40 zone, go 30. If you're in a 60 zone, go 50. 2, brake early. If you see brake lights up ahead or a light turning, actually it's almost better to brake at any point coming up to a light, except if it's green, obviously. But brake early. If you brake early, you're going to avoid sliding into something. And keep your distance. Don't tailgate. I mean, you shouldn't tailgate any time of the year, but when road conditions are favorable, tailgating's not a huge deal as long as you've got anti-lock brakes and you're quick with your foot on the brake. But in winter weather, on shitty roads, brake as early as possible. As a matter of fact, you'll find yourself saving gas, because if you brake early enough at a red light, coming up to a red light, you might find it turns green before you come to a complete stop, and then you can just go without having to start from a complete stop. Anyway, this video is not about a driving lesson. I've already been talking for, 3-4 minutes, and I'm giving driving lessons. Who the fuck am I? Anyway, so that's why I don't have winter tires, but it's mainly because I'm cheap. I don't want to get winter tires. They're expensive. You gotta buy rims and everything else for it. Anyway, so why am I making this video? Well, I'm making this video because of the recent press conference with Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and I want to say her name is Joanna Ellis. I could be wrong. I think the last name's Ellis. But I might be wrong about the first name. She's a real looker, and she's the kind of lawyer, that you see in movies. Anyway, they're the ones heading up the campaign, the Trump campaign's legal efforts in reversing some of the decisions made in the most recent election. Now, when the election happened, and everyone was saying, oh, Biden won, because the next day they basically declared Biden the winner, or the next 2 days. I'm like, oh, well, we'll have to wait for the courts to decide. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, right, like he's got a court chance. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I've learned over the last 5 years, 1, Trump doesn't really quit. He might not get started on some things. He might not even bother entering a fight if it, doesn't look like it's worth winning or worth trying to win, or looks insurmountable. But he's not the kind of guy to quit if there's a chance. And as the media seem to have not learned over the last 5 years, he has a tendency, he has this silly little knack about being vindicated. People tell him he's wrong, people tell him he's a liar, and people say, oh, he's done. Like, I don't know how many times people in the media in 2016 said, oh, this is the beginning of the end of the Trump campaign, or what have you. There we go, that's better. Only to have them, have to eat their words, right? He has a tendency of being vindicated when everyone else said, oh, he's done, he's out. That's right. Thank you, Kinsey. That's very nice. So I don't know what his chances are of winning. I think if it goes to the Supreme Court, he wins. Partly because he's already packed the courts with, he appointed 3 justices, right? I think Roberts would probably side with the Democrats because he's not really a conservative, despite being seated by a conservative president, or a Republican president, I should say. Republicans aren't really conservative anymore, but haven't been for a long time. But he's got 3 justices that are going to be more favorable to his position. And plus, if you look at it, on the face of it, it's clear there was fraud. It's clear there were irregularities, that Occam's razor tells you that there was a sinister plot going on. It wasn't just, oops, this person fucked up, oh well, led to 6,000 votes being, tallied in the wrong column. We reversed it though, don't worry. Don't be naive, right? Shit like this doesn't happen in a proper democracy or proper democratic system. The stuff that was going on election night and the wee hours of the next morning and on the days that followed, it screams banana republic democracy. It screams what kind of shit goes on. Trump's ahead by, in these swing states, a total of 1.2 million votes, I believe it was. And then by 4 or 5 a.m., oh, that lead is diminished, it's gone. Or all but gone. And then in the next few hours, oh yeah, that one's gone for Biden. So is that one, and so is that one. Come on, folks, don't be so fucking naive. If you honestly believe that there was no shenanigans going on, and I don't really want to use the word shenanigans because it sounds so, I don't know, juvenile. It doesn't sound serious enough. But if you don't believe that there was malfeasance, how about that? There was malfeasance going on, then you're either a partisan hack or you're monumentally naive, in which case I don't trust your judgment on just about anything. Now, Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, and this Ellis chick, they don't seem like schmucks. Sidney Powell is basically betting her entire career and reputation on her efforts here. And, Tucker Carlson, as I call him now. I shouldn't be so mean to Tucker Carlson. I actually like a lot of Tucker Carlson's content. But in the case of this, when it really mattered for him to come down on the side of justice, honesty, and integrity, he decided to take the tack of the media elites, the deep state, I forgot somebody was there, and the political establishment. He decided to side with them as opposed to stand up for, the populist Americans that, are hanging their hopes on a Trump victory, and that he has basically capitalized on over the last few years. They basically made his show. All the people who were sharing his clips before because, oh, Tucker's so based, Tucker's such a dude, all that sort of stuff. But now, basically, when it counts, on all the insignificant stuff, he can say the most outlandish and the most controversial things because it doesn't matter. It's just cultural shit. But when it comes to the election, that's when he cucks out on everybody. So that's why people are calling him Tucker Carlson. So, again, I trust media less and less every day. It's funny, people used to, people on the left used to scream about Fox News being, this fake news network. They called it faux news, F-A-U-X. and that it was just conservative propaganda and all this sort of stuff. And for the most part, it really wasn't. They had their commentators who were biased, for sure. They had conservative pundits and commentators on their platform, but their basic news was straight news, and it was actually decent straight news. But now they've gone full activist journos, trying to spin a specific narrative. And places like Newsmax and OAN that used to be the jokes, it used to be like the right-wing conspiracy theory, propaganda peddlers, they're now actually doing the real journalism that journalists used to do. I encourage you to watch Chanel Rion. She did a recent thing around dominionizing the election. It's you can find it on YouTube. It's also on BitChute. But yeah, it's worth watching. Anyway, I'm at the park now. Dog has been very well behaved. I know you want to go out and play. Okay, it's snowing out, which sucks. But we're going to go play at the park. You guys all take care. I appreciate you all watching. Like, share, subscribe. Tell all your friends. And I'll talk to y'all later. Take care.